That's the problem with atheists. Atheists need God to be a thing. They want him to be a guy sitting in the clouds with a lightning bolt in his hand so that they can disbelieve in him. But of course, we don't believe in such a God either. God is not a thing. He's not stuff. He's not something you say, oh, there he is right there. Right? Even the scholars, when they talked about the notion of the woman, it's interesting because some companions, they were concerned because a woman said that God is above. And so then some companions said, I don't know about that. Should we say it directly in that such a way, right? And so then the Prophet ﷺ came and then he said, leave her alone. She's right. So you have two groups of scholars, right? Two groups of scholars. You have the group of scholars that went literalist, which is basically the modern Saudi approach that took Ibn Taymiyyah's ideas and made it the most important ideas in the history of Islam from one guy. Okay? And they said, no, see, God is above. Okay, so God is above. Now, if somebody's on the opposite side of planet Earth right now, over in China, which way will they point? Above, you know. So like, you can't quantify God. Other scholars, the majority of them in our history, the vast majority of them, said what it means is she's referring to God as something that is above and beyond us. That there is a metaphorical, rhetorical thing that you, because what does God say in the Quran? أَقْرَبُ مِنْكُمْ حَبْلِ الْوَرِيدِ. He's closer to you than your jugular vein. وَهُوَ مَعَكُمْ أَيْنَمَا كُنْتُمْ. He's with you wherever you are. فَأَيْنَمَا تُوَلُّوا فَثَمَّ وَجْهُ اللَّهِ. Whichever direction you turn, you're turning towards God. Because people got confused. Oh, why are we had one qibla, now we have another qibla? That's not the point. The point is God is teaching you that this purpose has lost its value and now this purpose is the future. And that's how human beings experience work. It's not about God being there or there. You see? And so that is, God is transcendent. He's wal-Zahir wal-Batin. Right? He's something that's apparent by all of his influence, but yet you can't touch him. You're not supposed to be able to touch him or find him or say, there he is in my little speck of dust human brain has figured out the nature of the source of existence in and of itself. That's arrogance. You should never expect to be able to do that. That's atheism for you. They want it to be a thing that we can find it in a lab. You see? And so we're dealing with spirituality, something above and beyond all of that. We should never try to picture or imagine God in any way. This is blasphemy. The second you start saying, okay, God is like this is how God is, and you know, I remember one book I was reading on Al-Akhir bayna al-Salaf wal-Khalaf, and the scholar who wrote this book, he was saying that, you know, in the old days, in the early companions, they used to just accept verses that they knew were beyond their grasp because they knew God is that great, that God is that transcendent and exalted. So they didn't talk about it. They felt no need to put themselves in a position to, well, if God has a hand and an eye and what is this and that and he goes and comes and what does that mean? Where is he at? They felt that was useless for them to talk about because they knew he was above. Nowadays, you'll find books written by certain Saudi scholars that says, God has a face, a hand, he smiles, he laughs, he this, he comes down, he goes up. And be like, but nowhere in the Quran does it talk about God like that. They are literally picturing him as a human being, isn't it? When God uses the Arabic language, right? If I said, Khalil, give me a hand. And then Khalil pulls out a knife and starts sawing off his hand. And it's like, here, Imam. What would you think is wrong with Khalil? He doesn't understand what I mean. I don't mean chop your hand off and give it to me. I mean go over there and help me out with something, please. Right? We understand what that means, right? But give me a hand is what we say, right? You see what I'm saying? Give me an ear. I mean listen. Right? Same thing. So this is where language historically has always been used like that. The Arabs used language like that before the Quran was revealed. And the Quran was revealed in what? Their language. So the vast majority of scholars throughout our history did not think like that. It's a very simpleton Bedouin approach that has made that like the way of thinking that you would be a blasphemer if you challenged it. You see what I'm saying? And that's what happens when you put such people in power.